Let's go back in the woods and see how some of our landowners have used these cutting practices to improve their woodlands. With the exception of the last case where Joe Hake uses TSI following a timber harvest, our other landowners use the terms crop tree release and timber stand improvement interchangeably when discussing their improvement cuts. Even though they do, pay attention to the fact that they are always looking up in the forest canopy. This indicates that their focus is on the best trees and not the worst.
What we've done here is called a crop tree release. This is a bottomland walnut, and on a walnut like this, 80 to 90% of the value is between the butt and that first limb. That's where your money is. And by releasing this, it should grow probably a ½ inch a year, another 20 to 30 years, and this will be an extremely valuable log, hopefully a veneer log, as long as it doesn't get damaged. And what I did is I put a piece of wire around the tree and hooked my tape measure to it, stretched it out. Like I said, it's a 10-inch in diameter tree. I stretched it out to 20 feet. The rule is 2 times the inches in feet to clear around. And I've cleared out honey locust and hedge and elm. These stumps were all, these trees were all crowding this walnut. And by releasing these from it, this will enhance the growth. And release the crown so it gets more sunlight, and release the roots so they get more nutrients and moisture. I've done this with this tree here, another one across the way. I discovered recently 29 more bottomland walnuts on the place. I've marked those, and I'll be proceeding to release those also, because this eventually will be worth a lot of money. It's very well worth the effort.
Okay, the forked white oak there is competing with this tree, trying to get its crown up in the crown, and this is where I want all the growth going into this particular tree if possible. The forked white oak there, the forked white oak right here are competing not only in the overstory, but for the limited amount of moisture and nutrients that are in the ground. I want all that moisture and nutrients in this area going into this tree, not into these forked trees, but right here. And we've also killed that tree. So I've reduced the competition below the ground that will go into the root system for this tree and make this one grow better and faster. And this is the quality tree. Remember, quality sells. This is what we need. You can also see the stumps of the smaller trees that were too small to girdle. So we go ahead and cut those off waist high, which is easy to cut them off, easy to put the chemical on. As you can see, that's just as dead with a waist high as a ground level stump and keep us from bending over. So as you look down through the woods, every stem practically that is kept is a straight stem, primarily white oak. The undesirable ones are girdled and removed from the stand. And as you can see, this is done just a hair over 2 years ago. And the fungi that are on here, woodpeckers of course use these trees. No damage to the adjacent trees. When we kill them this way, they fall down a limb at a time, and eventually these trunks will fall down and do minimal damage.
Well, Scott, we're in a place where, like you say, it's been a couple of years since you've done your timber stand improvement. I'm looking to the next forest, which is in front of us here, all of the oak regeneration, the young oak seedlings and sprouts, I suspect.
Well, what we wanted to do, obviously, is take this oak site and reproduce it back to oaks while we were killing the hickories. You can see a lot of the stub in the background. And here we've got the red oak coming back in, the white oak, more white oak, heavy stand of regeneration, all coming back through here with an occasional hickory. So timber stand improvement is never done, but later on when these trees are up probably 8, 10, 12 feet in height, starting to get a stem diameter of 1 inch or 2, if there's some undesirable hickories or other species that should encroach on this site, we'll go ahead and kill those. But right now the major portion of it is white oak and red oak, and that's what we're trying to regenerate. When we started, we had an understory of hickory, and if we had not done timber stand improvement, we would have ended up with a hickory stand, and we really want a more valuable oak stand, not only from the timber management point of view, but from the wildlife point of view.
Well, Joe, we're in a block of timber that's adjacent to one that was marked for harvest, and I believe you said this one was harvested when?
1995.
So 95, and I've noticed you've been doing some what we call timber stand improvement work in here. What's the purpose of that?
Well, after the harvest is through, we go back and the remaining cull trees or poor quality or poor species tree, we go back and we kill them with a herbicide.
So those were the ones that couldn't be marketed, couldn't be sold.
Right, right.
But yet they're still competing with
The next generation of trees growing, so you want to remove the poor quality, let the better quality trees grow.
So that's like what we have in front of us here. I believe we have one good crop tree, and I'm seeing marks about 4 feet, 3 feet off the ground here in these other 3 trees. So those were cull trees that you've taken out.
Yes.
And how do you do that?
We use the frill method with the herbicide, just hatchet, go around the tree and frill it, and 1 squirt for every hit of the hatchet, and that kills the tree.
And you did this past spring or
Yeah, or late winter.
late winter?
Mhm.
And from the looks of it, it looks like you've had a pretty good successful kill.